I hear this a lot. Alex, I'm reaching out to my database. I'm getting the numbers I'm supposed to be getting. I'm reaching out to that many people every day. I'm just not seeing the results. And after a lot of questions, or maybe even just a few questions, I usually end up finding the answer that when you say you're reaching out, what you're doing is you're doing text messages, Facebook messages, maybe even emails, things like that. And we go back to the fundamentals in the research and say that's not what we said would generate the results you're looking for. We didn't say that all written communication would do it. And I know you don't want to hear that, but I need to tell you why. And I need you to understand why so that you can get yourself to do it because it makes a huge difference. It's so easy to send a text, especially if you either avoid confrontation, you're afraid of bothering people, you want to get it done because you don't think any results are going to come from it. So you just go copy and paste a bunch of Facebook messages and go, hey, I did my 10 contacts or whatever it is, and you're done. And you go, but nothing's happening from it. Well, think about this scenario. Um, how many of those messages that you send, and any written communication, text, social media message, email, how many of those go unreturned? Meaning, how often do people not reply with anything? If you send out 100, how many people are going to actually reply? I mean, it's a minority of them, right? I mean, maybe 10 or 15 or 20, 30, whatever the number is. It's not many. You're going to get a lot of people that don't reply. It's very common. You don't even know if they got the message, honestly. When you're sitting down in front of somebody or you're standing in front of somebody having a conversation and you ask them a question, how often do they look at you blankly and then just, I mean, seriously, has anybody ever done that to you in your entire life? Probably not. What about on the phone? If I'm on the phone call, and if I'm on the phone and I ask somebody a question, do they just go, they just hang up and walk away? That's never happened. Do they do that in text and social media messages and email? Oh, yeah. And you got the history to prove it. You can go in the text thread and go, oh, look at all these text messages nobody's ever replied to. So there's a huge difference in whether they respond. If they're on the phone or in person, they will respond. Well, why is that so important? Let's look at an example. I can send a text message. How's everything going? Hey, John, how's the family? John might not see the message, or he might see it and he's busy and he doesn't respond, or he just doesn't care. He doesn't know why you're asking. He doesn't have time. So whatever. He doesn't respond. Okay. 3 months later, if you're doing your job, you check in with him again with another message. Hey, John, didn't hear back from you 3 months ago. How's the family? And then a month after that, you see John on Facebook with his sold sign. Well, on that first attempt, if what you would have done was place a phone call, you got a chance of him picking up. And if John picks up and you say, John, how's the family? John says, we're doing great, man. My wife's pregnant. That just changed everything, didn't it? The only difference is the method of communication you used that put him in a position where he felt obligated to answer your question. And that changes everything. People even ask me, what about a voicemail drop? Well, you can do a voicemail drop, but it still is one way. The big difference, the major thing that sets these methods apart is whether they are one-way communication or two-way. And the only way you can really get a lot of two-way communication is when you have a live interaction with somebody. So when you think about that, just understand that yes, it takes more time to call people. It may result in a negative interaction, although you're calling your database, it usually doesn't. But the difference in the result is massive. In fact, even beyond the initial conversation, the main object of the 36 touch is to build enough mind share, enough awareness, so that you come to mind automatically when they hear about or think about real estate. And that text, that Facebook message, that email, they get forgotten the moment they get seen. I can forget about a text in 0.1 seconds. Easy, if I even saw it to begin with. A phone call, a live interaction, I mean, even if it is a live voicemail, but a live interaction in face is so much more memorable. Think about a client party. I have a client party at this corn maze every year. And we get about 200 people there. And we've been doing this for 4 years. Think about the stickiness, the mind share, and the awareness that that creates, because this is what I know for sure. Every time the people that come to that event hear about that particular place, that corn maze, every time they drive past it, every time they see a sign for it or an ad for it, they think of me. I'm getting advertising and mind share from another business just because they associate it with me and they remember it. And they talk about it all year. They ask me when the next one's coming up. They don't do that with a text. Alex, when are you going to text me again with that question about my family? Nobody does that, but they remember live conversations because if you remember, only 7% of communication is words. So when you don't have a live conversation, you remove 93% of your ability to communicate with somebody. They don't care and they don't remember it. So think about that and just understand that the bold law says logic makes you think, emotion makes you act. If you want a referral, if you want them to remember you, you're going to have to use methods of communication that stir emotion. You can't do that with written communication. They're not going to remember it. It won't stir emotion. It won't cause them to act either. And there's a Harvard Business Review study that says that a face-to-face request to complete a simple survey was 34 times more likely to get a response than the same request via email. Guys, it's fact. So if you're not getting the results you want from your database and 75% of your contacts are social media messages, I'm going to tell you, stop it. Stop kidding yourself. Do the harder thing that's more effective. Give them a phone call. And for the people that are really top value refers for you, meet them in person, go to lunch with them, take them to coffee, take them to Bears game, whatever. But get live interactions with people, and you're going to see the results from your database skyrocket.